Okay, fun little intros aside, let's just cut to the chase here. The NC Max is up there on the list of things in Planetside that the community can never seem to agree on, and with the new round of changes for them hitting the live servers, it kinda proves my point. G'day there once again viewers, this is your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today guys, we're going to be having a chat about the NC Max and its latest round of changes. So for those of you who don't exactly know what's going on here, allow me to give y'all a quick little rundown. With the last major game update that brought about the next season of Outfit Wars, which by the way we have been casting over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Kamikaze78, we've seen some major changes to the NC Max, more specifically buffs to the weaponry available to the Max with the intent of bringing it back into line with the adaptability of the other factions' options. The star of the show here above all else was the AF-34 Mattocks, the NC's quote-unquote long-range AI weapon. Kind of feels weird attaching the term long-range to a shotgun, but here we are. Anyway, the Mattocks on the first balance pass got the following buffs. The weapon became fully automatic, the number of pellets fired per shot went from 3 to 4, and we had a mag size increase to 14 rounds by default, with respective ammo pool improvements as well. And the major talking point of the bunch here was definitely the added pellet to the mix, and let's just say that the discussion around the changes felt very polarizing. On one hand, there were plenty of Reddit threads all calling for an immediate nerf to the newly buffed weapons, feeling as though they were too powerful, but on the other hand, I launched a YouTube poll in my community section and the results told a different story. 57% of votes from a pool of 1.4 thousand at the time of writing this video were in favour of the max buffs being okay, all things considered. Despite that, fast forward to where we are now, and there's been another round of tuning for these weapons that has resulted in the following changes. The pellet count for the Mattocks has been brought back down to 3, the max damage per pellet has been raised from 100 to 112, and the minimum damage per pellet has been raised from 75 to 92. So overall, this is a change that, from what I can tell, has aimed to focus more on quality of a well-placed shot versus quantity of the pellets that can paint said target, which admittingly does make sense for the weapon's purpose, I'll give it that. But while all the craziness was happening on Reddit and within the community, it did kind of get me thinking about whether or not the first iteration of the NC Max changes were really that bad, or whether it was really just a whole bunch of player-driven hysteria that was amplified by the new seasonal directives that required max use. So today guys, I wanted to run some testing and numbers on the AF-34 Mattocks from both balance pass iterations to see what they are now capable of and to see if things are in fact out of whack or if people are freaking out for no reason. Now, admittingly, I would have loved to have spent some time doing some practical in-game testing on these weapons prior to the second balance pass, but time didn't really allow for that, so we'll just have to go off some theoretical numbers alone here. Also, considering that these weapons are in fact shotguns and pellet spread is a random factor, we'll just have to work with best case scenarios that every pellet hits a target, so on and so forth. So here are some of the numbers on the previous iteration of the Mattocks. A single Mattock had the capacity to score 400 damage in CQC if all pellets hit, 800 assuming all rounds between both arms connect. Their effective damage per magazine is 6,400 per weapon with extended magazines equipped, 12,800 damage when combined. This means that taking into consideration a max's damage modifier, a single max running 2 Mattocks emptying both magazines can dish out 2,560 damage. That's enough to comfortably kill one max suit if all pellets connect. The theoretical time to kill here puts the Mattocks at around about a 4-second kill time if all pellets hit. Again, extremely unlikely to hit these results with, actual combat, movement, and pellet spread, but it's good enough for food for thought at the moment. Now, for comparison's sake, let's take a look at the Blue Shift VM5, the Vanu Sovereignty Max long-range anti-infantry weapon. These weapons can dish out a consistent 143 damage at all ranges, or 286 damage if both arms are equipped with the same weapon. Effective damage per magazine in that case is 8,580 per weapon with extended magazines, a combined damage of 17,160 damage per magazine. This means that a Vanu Sovereignty Max running these weapons can dish out 3,432 against an enemy max in one magazine from both arms, but they do it over a longer period of time with an effective time to kill of 5.58 seconds in the max damage range thanks to the lacking alpha damage. It should also be noted that the blue shifts can technically kill more regular opponents per magazine by comparison, but once again, whether or not this actually happens come very much down to accuracy of both sides of the coin and actual combat scenarios. So by that logic, why did the NC Max need a nerf after its initial balance pass? It's clearly sacrificing uptime for Alpha Strike functionality. The issue that we were running into was that the NC Max was, at the end of the day, acting as a superior max suit by comparison to the others at multiple ranges, where the others were normally intended to be a more viable option. This comes from the fact that the Mattocks, prior to the nerf, was still dealing a raw 600 potential damage at their minimum damage range, all the while sporting a not so far off accuracy akin to the blue shifts at all. In fact, at times, even more accurate. So yeah, while their theoretical time to kill of 5.34 seconds at the minimum damage range is very theoretical, it's still pretty easy to score a pretty laughable amount of damage at all ranges the Max came across. And yes, the NC Max is designed to dominate in CQC. I don't think there's any argument against that. But despite me being an NC main and having way too much fun with the Mattocks on their initial balance pass, the NC can't have their cake and eat it too. There needs to be some give and take here. So now we arrive to where we are today. And here's the numbers we have to look at now. The Mattocks can dish out 336 damage per weapon at maximum, or 672 between both arms in CQC, which therefore places the effective damage per mag at 5,376 per weapon with extended magazines, or 10,752 combined across two arms. And that then translates to 2,150 effective damage against enemy max suits in one magazine across both arms, a theoretical time to kill of 4.67 seconds. So in theory, we've only seen approximately a half a second nerf here against enemy max suits. But we can run these theoretical numbers all day, and quite frankly, they are theoretical thanks to pellet spread, so I decided to jump into the VR training room and do a bit of testing as well, to get a bit more of an idea as to how effective the new Mattocks are at different ranges by comparison to the blue shifts for the VS. And here's what I found. At 5 meters, the NC Maxes are completely unrivaled and easily beat the blue shifts in time to kill by about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds, which is to be expected when you have two shotguns in play versus two weapons that are designed to be more accurate by nature. What I did find interesting though was how the gap between the two weapons actually extended out in favor of the Mattocks again when we reached the 15 meter mark. The gap actually sitting around about a 3-second difference in time to kill. Why is this? Well, the Mattocks actually start off with a cone of fire accuracy of 0 when standing still or 0.5 when moving. The blue shifts, on the other hand, kick things off with a cone of fire accuracy of 1.15 while standing and sport a 0.06 bloom per shot. Believe it or not, the NC Mattocks actually remain more accurate over time, especially considering the pellet spread remains consistently accurate over time even when under full auto fire. You may have noticed in the 15 meter comparison that while I was firing the blue shifts at full tilt later in the burst, my rounds began to miss just thanks to the bloom alone, which was not a problem for the Mattocks. I was able to keep the Mattocks under full tilt from start to finish. However, if we find ourselves out at the 30 meter mark, this paints an even crazier picture. Here we see me need to go through a reload on the Mattocks before needing to make a kill, and I thought to myself, well, that seals the deal. The blue shifts are clearly going to win this engagement. And they do, but only by a fraction of a second. The Mattocks went through a full, long reload, but the actual kill processed at around about the same time after continuous firing. And it should be noted that I had to take a small moment to pause firing to regain control of my cone of fire with the blue shifts. I did not have to do this with the Mattocks at all. Gonna be honest with you guys, I kinda had this script ready to go and already written up in my head before I had gone into game to do my testing, but I kinda had to throw it all out the window after this because, yeah, these Mattocks shotguns actually hold up realistically and exceed in every combat scenario that an NC Max will realistically fight in. I thought to myself, it can't be that bad when I heard people complaining about these buffs. And I will be the first guy to say that the NC Max needed some buffs prior to these updates. Like it or not, the NC Max struggled to make any kind of headway in a lot of engagements. It needed some love. But based on what I've seen here today, it may have seen a little bit too much love. I'm all for the NC Max retaining its CQC firepower and maintaining some alpha strike capability. That's what these shotguns have always been about. If you take away its CQC prowess as it stands right now, then you may as well just not have an NC Max at all. And I know that many will argue that 99% of infantry engagements are fought in the NC Max's backyard by that logic, but in theory the NC Max should always be countered via keeping yourself at safe distances. And that's where things have fallen by the wayside here. The issue we have is that the NC Max can realistically hold down the trigger and maintain a higher damage output at range than any other max suit in the game right now, because the Mattocks don't have to deal with the biggest drawback of those other weapons, Cone of Fire Bloom. The pellet accuracy does not degrade over time, and the starting accuracy is better than the other max suits in the game. So the way I see it, the following options can happen. The Mattocks can lose their full auto capabilities and maintain the exact same accuracy as they do now, requiring players to manage their rate of fire on their own, as opposed to just holding down the mouse and blasting through everything like NC do. Or the Mattocks maintain their full auto capabilities but lose pellet spread accuracy over time to keep the accuracy in tow with the other faction's answers to long-range anti-infantry capabilities. The damage output from an alpha damage perspective isn't the problem for me. It more so comes down to the ability to maintain a consistent alpha damage over range, because that's what's happening here. The NC Max has its alpha damage, but it's also able to maintain that alpha damage over time. And to be honest, I actually had an idea for a video prior to the second balance pass coming, where we kept its original 4 pellet design, but removed its full auto capabilities and lowered its refire time to give it that high alpha strike sniper style weapon that rewarded great crosshair placement at multiple ranges, but maybe sacrificed its uptime. Again, my testing here today kind of caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting the script to really end this way. I was kind of expecting to make a video saying that yes, the NC Max is good at close range, but with the Mattocks, even at longer ranges, it has to go through a reload time before it can kill an enemy max, and then that's where the other weapons kind of take out the day. But yeah, not quite the case here. Now, don't get me wrong, the other maxes still win out in the form of crowd control. They can kill more targets per magazine as opposed to the NC Max. The NC Max is more of a brute force wrecking ball kind of a deal. But if a player from the TR and the VS decides to pull a max to counter an NC Max and even at range can't beat them, that's where problems start to draw out. And I think we need to see some slight changes to how the NC Max operates with the Mattocks to keep their long-range capabilities good, but at the same time in tow and require a little bit more care as opposed to just simply being able to hold down the trigger. But there we have it, guys. That concludes today's video discussing the new NC Max changes. Not gonna lie, again, I'm kind of surprised by what I found here, and I had to change up a lot of this video to accommodate for that, but here we are, and that's why you guys are seeing the video a little later than I anticipated it coming out as well. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, guys, make sure you hit the like button. It goes a long way in supporting the channel as per always. And if you're new to the channel and you're enjoying it, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I've got some updates you guys are going to hear about very, very soon in regards to life and how the channel's going to be operating as we move into 2021. So yeah, guys, hope you're excited for that as well. Make sure you also follow us on all of our social media links, and feel free to join our Discord, linked in the description down below. Once again, guys, it's been a pleasure. Take care, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Have a good one, guys.